Ever get that feeling, like when you're watching some crazy spy movie with all the gadgets and the, close calls and stuff,
Right, right.
and you think, come on, nobody would believe this is too over the top.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what I thought too, until I started looking into this case.
Oh.
The assassination of Georgi Markov.
Ah, yes, Markov. That one's definitely stranger than fiction.
With your background in Cold War espionage, I knew you'd be the perfect person to help us break this down.
Happy to, happy to. It's a fascinating, albeit disturbing, piece of history.
So, for everyone listening, this is a deep dive into a story that sounds like it came straight out of a spy thriller.
Exactly, a classic Cold War thriller, except it really happened.
And we're going to unpack all the details, talk about the key players, and try to make sense of this almost unbelievable event.
And how it kind of reflects the paranoia and the lengths people went to during that era.
Okay, so picture this. London, 1978.
Okay.
Busy city, people going about their day. You know the scene.
I can picture.
And on Waterloo Bridge, this seemingly ordinary man with an umbrella bumps into another guy.
Sounds pretty mundane so far.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This umbrella was no ordinary umbrella.
Oh, I think I'm starting to see where this is going.
Yeah, this is where things take a seriously dark turn.
It really highlights, I think, the truly chilling side of Cold War espionage, this case.
Yeah, using everyday objects as weapons, like something out of James Bond.
Right. Almost unbelievable, but it happened.
But before we get to that, the umbrella, the weapon.
Yeah, let's back up a bit.
We need to talk about Georgi Markov, the victim.
Absolutely. Who he was, why he was targeted.
So he wasn't just some random guy, right?
No, not at all.
What I gathered from the research is he was a Bulgarian dissident living in exile in London.
That's right, and very outspoken in his criticism of the communist regime back in Bulgaria.
Like really outspoken.
Oh yeah, he wasn't shy about it at all.
Not just complaining to his friends or anything, he was broadcasting it to the world.
Exactly, he worked for Radio Free Europe.
And for those who aren't familiar, Radio Free Europe was a big deal back then.
Huge. It was funded by the U.S. government.
During the Cold War,
Yep, and it was a key platform for counter-propaganda.
So Markov's voice, his message, it was reaching behind the Iron Curtain.
That's exactly it.
Challenging the official narrative, the whole Communist Party line.
Which, of course, made him a major threat in the eyes of the Bulgarian government.
Yeah, I can definitely see why they'd want to silence him.
Absolutely.
And that brings us back to that fateful day on Waterloo Bridge.
Right, back to London, 1978.
So Markov's walking, probably thinking about his day, his work at the BBC.
He was a writer and broadcaster for the BBC World Service.
Right. And he feels this sharp sting on his thigh.
From what he said, like an insect bite.
Yeah, just a sudden jab and then poof, the guy with the umbrella is gone.
Just blends back into the crowd.
And of course, at the time, Markov doesn't think much of it.
Nope, just a minor annoyance, he probably thought.
It's incredible to think, right?
What is?
That something so small, so seemingly insignificant, could be so deadly.
Oh, absolutely. That's what's so insidious about this whole thing. The weapon, the poison.
The way it was all just orchestrated so quietly.
Exactly.
So what was it? What was in that umbrella that did so much damage?
Well, that sting that Markov felt, that was the modified umbrella injecting a tiny pellet.
A pellet.
Yeah, barely bigger than a pinhead.
Okay, and this pellet was coated with
ricin.
Ricin. Isn't that like super deadly?
One of the most potent toxins we know of, yeah.
I remember reading about it, how it attacks the body.
It basically prevents cells from making proteins.
And proteins are kind of important for, everything.
Absolutely. Every bodily function relies on proteins.
So when your cells can't make them, it's basically system failure.
Exactly. Complete organ shutdown.
So it's not like a quick death.
No, it's slow. It's agonizing.
It's horrifying to think about.
Especially given how stealthily it was delivered, right?
No gunshot, no struggle, just a little prick, and then...
And then days later, Markov's dead.
He was hospitalized, right?
Yeah. High fever, vomiting, the whole works.
And the doctors, did they even know what hit him at first?
It took an autopsy to reveal the pellet lodged in his leg.
And that's when they realized it was ricin poisoning.
Exactly. And that's when the investigation really took off.
Because it was clear this wasn't just some random act of violence.
Oh, no. This was an assassination meticulously planned and executed.
And the investigation, where did it lead? Who was behind this?
Well, very quickly, suspicions fell on the Bulgarian secret police.
I mean, given Markov's vocal opposition to the regime...
It made sense, right? He was a direct threat to their authority.
Yeah, but it gets even more complicated.
Right. There were also allegations of KGB involvement.
The KGB, so this wasn't just a Bulgarian operation.
Potentially not. There were whispers of a wider conspiracy, maybe even orders coming from Moscow.
Wow, so you had this dissident, silenced with a weaponized umbrella.
And potentially orchestrated by multiple intelligence agencies.
It's almost too much to wrap your head around.
It really speaks to the level of paranoia and ruthlessness during the Cold War.
And did they ever catch the guy, the assassin with the umbrella?
That's the thing. That's the part that still haunts this case.
What do you mean?
Despite all the evidence, all the investigations, they never identified the actual assassin.
They never found the guy who did it?
Nope, he just vanished.
That's unbelievable. Just disappeared into thin air.
Which only adds to the intrigue, right?
It's like something out of a spy novel.
Exactly, and it reinforces just how shadowy these Cold War operations were.
So we have this incredibly intricate assassination plot.
Carried out with deadly precision.
And the person who actually pulled the trigger, so to speak, is just a ghost.
A ghost from the Cold War.
It's chilling to think about the kind of person who could do something like that.
Right. What kind of training did they have?
What kind of mindset? What happened to them afterwards?
And the fact that we may never know the answers, it only makes it more unsettling.
It really does make you think about the world, you know?
In what way?
Like how such things can happen, how vulnerable we are.
That's true. I mean, even today, think about all the hidden dangers, the things we take for granted.
Like an umbrella.
Exactly. Who would ever suspect an umbrella?
It makes you wonder, what other ordinary objects are out there?
Being used for nefarious purposes, right?
Scary thought.
And it's a legacy of that era, that Cold War mentality.
The paranoia, the suspicion, the willingness to do whatever it takes.
To silence your enemies, to maintain control.
It's a dark chapter in human history.
But also a reminder of the importance of vigilance, of questioning what we see and hear.
And of remembering that sometimes reality can be far more terrifying than fiction.
I think that's a good place to leave it, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot to process, this whole story.
It is. It is.
And for everyone listening, if this case has piqued your interest, I encourage you to delve deeper.
There are so many books, documentaries, articles out there.
Explore the world of Cold War espionage, but be warned.
Sometimes the truth is a lot more chilling than we'd like to believe.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time.
Until next time.